What's up? Welcome to Word Boost. Hey, little sister. I'm Marshelle Barwise, and today for this episode, I have Cayla George joining me. Now, Cayla is what I would call a diamond because I absolutely love her. Not only is she inspirational, she's a professional athlete, she's an entrepreneur, and the list can go on, but also, and more importantly, she is beaming with joy. She's so full of life, and she just naturally has a way of bringing the best out of other people. So her and I are coming together and chopping it up about confidence, how to cultivate confidence. Because let's be real, confidence is something we all need or want more of. So I'm super happy that you're here. Let's get into it. Okay. Well, hey, Cayla George, thank you so much for coming to Word Boost. Hey, little sister. I know you love, hey. Now, I know that you love the young girls, and not only do you love them, you do so much to pour into young women. And so I just want you to talk a little bit about your program first and foremost and what you do.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. So I actually just finished my 12-week program, my recent one, and it's essentially, it's for hoopers, but not exclusive to. If you play another sport, it's about inspiring young women, young girls to be confident in themselves, their abilities on and off the court, and just remembering who they are, remembering their worth. And sorry, my sister's in the background.
This is real life. This is real life.
Real life. And just giving them encouragement. And as a professional athlete, I don't know that there's any program in the world that has an active professional athlete engaging in these young aspiring athletes and young adults. So I just really feel privileged to be able to go in and really inspire these young girls and shift their grids in the most positive way possible.
Yeah. And I'm so sure. I mean, obviously I haven't been around you and the girls and stuff that you're mentoring, but I'm so sure that they absolutely love you because not only are you like a wealth of knowledge and have a ton of skills, you're fun. You're funny. You have so much
I love
joy, and I love that about you. So one of the things that you brought up where you said is in your program, you talk about self-confidence. And I thought that was a really good topic for us to kind of tackle today, since you know you're an expert in all. So I do want to ask you a question. You know, growing up, did you struggle with self-confidence? And if so, kind of give us an understanding in what ways you struggled with that.
Yeah, so I guess for me, from what I can remember, like I was really proud to be tall. I loved being different, which I guess is a pretty different narrative to a lot of other people that feel a bit isolated and different. But I really embraced my height. I wanted to be, 6'8". I only got 6'4", unfortunately or fortunately. So, I kind of didn't really let too much faze me in that sense. But I did have issues with some of the boys at school picking on me and things like that. And so that would kind of make me second guess my confidence in my height. Mm-hmm. And then, it would get me down a little bit. But I'd bounce back pretty quickly because, I loved playing basketball and I knew that my height was really great for basketball. And I loved being different and utilising that skill of being different and being tall in the best possible way.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, when you talk about like being tall, that is really unique, honestly, because there's a lot of people that I've met who were taller as a female, and they've always kind of had that idea like, oh man, I wanted to be 5'5". I wanted to be more petite. Right. Guys don't like tall girls. And so I think it's really unique that you never felt that way. So that's
it's pretty different. And my husband's actually shorter than me too now. So I always thought that I was going to marry someone taller, but that's what society had drilled into everyone's heads, right? You marry someone taller than you, right? Because it makes sense because the guy's always taller. Why?
Or the same height, and you just can't wear heels.
That's right. I don't know heels. Yeah, no, he's a little bit shorter when I'm, in bare feet like it's shoes. So honestly, I just tried to I guess from a very early age, I've always just tried to be super positive and always try and make people around me feel really good about themselves. And I guess in the process kind of helped me, become the person I am today, but just really recognizing that, I'm different and I'm okay with that because it makes me unique and actually given me my career. So always looking to spin everything to a positive way. You know, God's created me this way. So self-confidence in that sense, to go back to your question, I guess I could probably more relate to it on court at times when I'd lacked confidence in my ability. And that was just all, still now I kind of get a little bit that way at times on court as a 13 years pro 31-year-old, but for me,
13 years, oh my gosh, and you're not even that old. I mean, you're young. Girl, 31.
So I guess for me it was more just about how quick my bounce backs were, and the older I got, the more strategies and more knowledge I had, and the more mature I became, the quicker those bounce backs got, and I wouldn't let the lies come into my mind so much. It'd just be more deflection mode, and that's I guess you could use that in anything in life. When the lies come in, you just have to understand that that's not for your head, and just completely just deflect it before it even gets in there.
Yep.
And sometimes that's easier said than done, and some thoughts they just get right in there, and you're like, oh gosh, that is wrong. Well, I'm terrible at this, I can't do this. And that's a lie, right? Because you're confident. I'm confident, I've trained, my body knows what it's doing. So why all of a sudden am I thinking this? So it's just a matter of, I'm good. My body knows what it's doing. So in the basketball sense. Hope I haven't rambled too much on that.
Girl, it's all good. It's all good. You're speaking and you're letting us know kind of where you stand. And so in terms of that, I love the fact that you brought up on the court, right? So on the court, you're like, maybe sometimes I dealt with a little bit of self-confidence here and there. And so I think it's, like you were saying, certain things you just have to deflect it and you just have to get it out of your mind. Like, hey, that's not true. But really what I've experienced, and let me know if you can, relate to this, is it's not necessarily when other people say things to me that gets me off course. It's the little lies that I believe about myself, right? The little self-doubts that I believe. And then somebody just comes and they basically confirm it. And now it's like playing over and over in my mind. Oh, right.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. And then recognizing that and just like shifting your grid back to a positive mindset can be one of the toughest things to do, that bounce back. Really believing in yourself and your capabilities as a person and what God's gifted you with talent-wise, and whether it's painting or writing or a sport. So it's really interesting. When I was younger, my bounce back time wasn't great and I'd really get down. But fortunately, God's had me the whole way, and like he has all of us, and he's really taught me, some good strategies to really move forward and have a better understanding that, hey, like sometimes like those thoughts that you think aren't of me. So just push it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so I want you to kind of highlight some positive habits that you've developed over time, right? Because really, if I think about, young women, I think about myself when I was a teenager, even in my early 20s, a lot of these things that just seem so crystal clear to me now weren't back then. Right. It's like, hey, just deflect it, think on these things, do this. And so let's talk through, and I would love for you to share, what are some habits, some positive habits that you've developed that you're like, this has always been tried and true and helped me reestablish the self-confidence, I know I'm supposed to walk in.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've got some great spiritual parents around that I connect with in some low moments, and they really just kind of bring me back to the mind space that I need to be in. And then also a massive thing for me when I'm feeling super isolated, whether I've been playing overseas, lacking confidence, or off-court stuff, not thinking that I'm good enough for anyone, or things like that, because it gets pretty real up in here, folks. I listen to worship, and that is the most consistent thing that I've done in my entire life. I listen to worship music, and it brings me to a state of complete peace and understanding. And I talk to God, I sing to God, and I sometimes I cry, because it's not a sad cry anymore. I'm so happy I'm that at peace, and I don't have to think those silly thoughts anymore. And I believe in myself now. And it might take a few days of soaking in worship music. I'm not saying I listen to a song, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm good. Sometimes it happens like that. Sometimes you pick the right song right away and you're like, oh my gosh, that's just hit me so hard. Like I'm back. Sometimes it takes, the longest time, like recently in the last few years that it's taken me to bounce back from something was probably about a month or two. And that was like consistently like crying out to God in prayer, worship music all the time. Like only would listen to worship music, like hardcore, because for me, that's the only real thing that gives me that peace. And so now I crave that peace. And because I know that peace covers me when I'm needing it. And so that's all I look to be honest. And as I've gotten older, I've understood that more and wanted to just feel that peace, only that peace when I have those moments of self-doubt, because it completely shifts my grid.
I love that. And so I can relate to a lot of that. And so essentially you're saying, you have spiritual parents or people in your life who kind of just give you godly advice. And so when you have those down moments, you go to them and they know how to encourage you, uplift you, and just remind you what God says about you. That's awesome. I agree. That's great. Another thing is listening to worship music, which I also find brings so much peace and calm to my soul, right? And it's like there's nothing that you have a need of that you cannot find in God's presence. And that's one thing that I've learned. Like when I lack self-confidence, self-worth, when I'm, just doubting myself, when I'm in God's presence, he reminds me who I am. And more importantly, he reminds me who he is. And I'm like, wait, this is the God that is my God. He's my Father. And so why am I worried about these petty little things? And sometimes it just puts things into a perspective. And so I love that. Definitely for all of you young ladies listening, I would encourage you to use some of those things that Cayla just dropped. Yeah. So Cayla, you want any little sound effects? Yeah. We're going to have to do like a little montage of the Cayla-isms, all her little things. I love it. So self-talk, I think some of the things that you've really been hitting on is the importance of positive self-talk and reaffirming, yourself. What's something that you tell yourself on a regular basis that's kind of your go-to to keep you in that positive frame of mind?
So lately it's been I am worthy. I am worthy. I am worthy. I'm good enough. I am worthy. And that's just been something that I've had to really resonate with because Corona's really been an interesting time for a lot of different reasons. And I feel like it's, instead of me rushing off to play basketball, I've actually had to kind of sit in some of the issues that I've had with, my family, some with my husband, not going to play basketball at the Olympics. I should be at the Olympics right now. So there's been a lot of stuff that's kind of come up for me, but I've had the time to really sit in it and work through it. So my constant is I am worthy, I am worthy, I am worthy, and I am good enough. Because that father wound is real, y'all.
You said the what?
A big thing. So,
what's real?
The father wound.
Oh, yes, girl, the father wound. That's what we're going to have to do another part 2, me and you, and get in on that, right? Because I think there's a lot of young ladies who deal with that and they don't deal with it well. And I can say I didn't deal with it well, and it has a huge impact on your adulthood. And so we're going to get into the nitty gritty on that. That's something you'll definitely want to tune in for. So, what are 2 or 3 things our little sisters can do to improve their self-confidence outside of what you've already shared? So when you think about some of the young girls you mentor, some of the common things you're seeing they're dealing with, if you're like, you know what, if I could just do this for you, I would. What are some of those things?
Right. I think first and foremost, don't worry about people around you and their journey, because God's got them doing different things. Like focus on you and your journey. Don't worry about, opportunities that other people have gotten because you might miss yours. Stay focused on you. And I think it's hard. It's hard these days with social media and things like that. You see what other people are doing, what they're getting up to, and it's tough. And sometimes other people get, things that you want before, you get them. And it can be tough to see that, but just stay the course. God sees, he hears, stay focused and be on your journey. Be on your journey. And another thing would be constructive conversations. I know as a young female you can have, or as an athlete or on and off court, this can relate to some people, they just might not be very kind, or they might, not treat you very well, or you'll have a coach that's not, treating you very well and you just don't understand why, and it's making you not enjoy your sport. I think constructive conversations are always a really positive thing. So, confronting someone and just asking for some one-on-one time just to discuss an issue, I think is a better way to approach something than maybe just walking away and feeling some type of anxiety about a situation. I feel like just going headfirst sometimes into things with constructive conversation can really help you feel at peace with things and really show your character. And just to work through things. Do you know what I mean? Like in
I know
really
what
tough
you mean,
times,
girl.
if you're really anxious about a certain thing, just go tackle it head on constructively. Have a conversation with your coach. Have a conversation with that girl at school that's said something behind your back. Say, hey, I didn't appreciate that. Is there something that I've done to you? And sometimes it won't always go smoothly. They won't always want to talk to you, but, show your true character, stay true to who you are, and be a good human, I think is the best possible advice I could give. Just stay your course, stay on your journey.
Girl, those two, seriously, if they're listening, anyone who's listening, I can relate to that. And I think one of the biggest things that is easy for people to get caught up in right now, especially with the whole era of online and everybody's kind of showing, their ideal self or maybe their real self that took years to get to, but it looks like it happened instantaneous. There is that struggle where people are like, oh man, they might have a gift or a calling to do one thing and they're doing it, but then they see this other person over here doing something and they're succeeding now. It's like that desire for success or that desire for whatever it is that they want. It's already there in that person's hand. So they're like, okay, let me do what they're doing. And so I think that is gold right there, is to remind yourself constantly, I'm not in competition with anybody. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I am really just trying to be the best me, and I need to take my gifts, my talents, everything that I can do and work with it. Like, work that, girl. Like, that's all you need to do.
Girl,
I love that. Girl, we could say that all day. Yes. Yeah. Work that. Let that work for you. I love to, like in the Bible. Little sisters. Like in the Bible, I love the verse, and it's a common one. It says, your gift will make room for you. And you hear so many people quote it, but a lot of people struggle allowing their gift just to do the work, to open the doors, to open the opportunity. And so just stay faithful to that. That's awesome. And then what you're talking about with constructive conversations, oh my gosh, this right here, it doesn't matter how old you are, but the younger you can grasp this, the better your life will be. Right. And I think the key word is constructive. We got to really emphasize constructive, because I do think there's some young people, myself, I was like, listen, if something happens, I'm going to tell somebody, growing up, but I became confrontational, and people see me as confrontational, and they were put off by my approach, and it never really manifested the results that I wanted. And so over time, I realized the constructive piece. And so I'm so happy that you said that. And I really hope that anybody listening, young, old, anybody, it's time to start confronting things constructively and allowing the Lord to do the work in the other person's heart, because they may not, most of the time, especially, and here's one thing too, and I want to say this, and Cayla, I want you to like chime in, but here's one thing you absolutely positively do not want to do when you have a rift or a tension. You never want to go to that person and tell them about themselves and what they did wrong. That is the worst way to try to resolve a situation, right? Yeah. You just
no finger point.
Exactly. Like, all you can really do is own your part in the situation and own your own feelings. Like, if you feel like you didn't do anything, but what they did somehow caused or contributed to you feeling some type of way, you need to own those feelings and don't say, you made me angry or you did this, right?
100%,
That's a problem just waiting to happen. And so I love that.
Their defense walls will come straight up, and it will all of a sudden become confrontational, not constructive. And I actually, with my dad, that's kind of how, when I called him out on some stuff, tried to constructively, it got really confrontational very quickly. And that's what I'm working through at the moment, and just praying for his heart right now to shift in a positive way. And actually that's what we spoke last week, I think, sis, you told me about, just praying for their heart directly. I've been doing that ever since. So I'm going to keep doing that with my dad because, he wasn't ready to hear some of the stuff. And maybe I came out of the gates a bit hard, because sometimes, a bit of emotion can take over. But I'm only human, and I was feeling quite emotional that day. But my advice still stands: constructive conversations.
Yeah,
when you
absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love it. And, you know, honestly, knowing and doing are two completely different things. There's a lot of things that I have known, but I didn't actually do it or implement it the right way. And sometimes, you know, hey, if I realize I messed up, like you said, like, oh, I let my feelings get the best of me, doesn't mean that you
Yeah.
can't go and try to restore that. Right. And
Right.
so restoration is always possible. I love it. I think that constructive confrontation is so important. Grab that nugget, you
Yeah, girl.
guys, grab it and keep it for the rest of your life. And so I want to ask you like a little bit of a funner question. So, what is your confidence like booster, self confidence song? Like if you had the jam, you put it on, and you're like, this boosts me all the way up.
So actually, the last week I've had a song from Tasha Cobbs.
Okay.
Is that how I say it? Yeah, Tasha Cobbs Leonard, and it's the Solid Rock. That's what it's called, Solid Rock, and it's just like a really nice like beat, and it's wild. I just feel like really warm, and it's just a really great reminder that, you know, he's a solid rock.
All right.
No, just the last week it's just really got me going. So because when I looked at the questions before when you sent them through, I was like, oh, what? Because I don't really listen to much other music right now because, you know, it's a pretty interesting time with Corona and things. So I like to really find peace a lot.
Yeah.
So that Solid from Tasha Cobbs Leonard there's a few, I'm actually listening to a lot of her music right now, but that one in particular, Solid Rock, and also Awake My Soul by Hillsong is also one that's just like, oh, like gets me a bit teary happy, like Holy Spirit-y, teary happy. So those two, like 100% hands down, would be my jam right now.
That's what's up. Okay. I'm definitely going to have to check that out. I love, like, I think about how much music played a part in my journey, especially growing up. Like, there are certain songs I can hear and I can remember exactly where I was when I
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. Yes.
And I love like a good song to put on in the morning. Like, I remember when I was in college in my dorm room and there was this song by Hillsong United. It's called Take It All. And I didn't even like plan it, but I turned it on and I'd be like just dancing around my room, getting ready. And it just was so second nature. And so I know music plays a good part, and it never hurts to find out what somebody else's go-to like self-confidence booster song is so that you can adopt that song too. So shout out to all the people who are putting out that good music, helping us, you know, get our minds refocused on who we are in the Lord. So one other thing I want to do with you, because I know you have so much that you can actually give, and I want people to be able to glean off of your life. So in 30 seconds, what would you tell any young lady struggling with self-confidence? Now, you already said a lot, but if you had to summarize you're like, wait, 30 seconds? 30? But what would you say if you only had 30 seconds and you had a girl in front of you and she's struggling with self-confidence? Just speak right to her heart, directly from your heart.
Okay, are you timing me?
Yeah, I'm timing you in my mind, but if you want, I will turn on this timer.
Okay. So I'd say, all right, here we go. 30 seconds. I'd say, sis, you're human. It's okay to have these feelings. I have them too, all the time. And it's about remembering you are worthy. It's remembering what you're really good at, how talented you are, how beautiful you are inside and out, and just having a quick bounce back time, talking to God about it, and you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. And because we all go through these times, and I'm here for you.
I love it. And it's so sincere. And I believe
girl, I was like talking to myself a little bit. It was like talking to her instead of you.
Yes, talking to me, you're talking to her, you're talking to she's talking to all of you, everyone who's out there listening, who's looking at this video. If you are dealing with self-confidence or you're just going ebbs and flows, which we all do, just know that you are not alone. I think that's a powerful message in itself, right? That feeling of aloneness.
When anything happens, like I know when my dad and I had the fight, I was like, oh gosh, I feel so isolated. Everyone's got these great dads. Like, no, they don't.
Right.
Like, I'm not alone here. And then I start to speak up and be like, oh yeah, I've got that father wound. Oh yeah, my dad does this. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's such a big issue. Next topic, sorry. But we will talk about this. But like when you're in a moment, you really feel so isolated. Like, am I the only one in the whole world that's feeling this right now? It's only happened to me ever? Like, no, I promise you. It happens to every single person. Yep. It's just how they cope with it and how they manage it. And then over time you build strategies to be able to, bounce back quickly, and then you'll help mentor the next gen.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
Continue to be that light. And just because I try and be a light and you try and be a light, it doesn't mean that we don't go through stuff. Like, we don't have this perfect life up here.
Yeah.
And it builds us and makes us more resilient and brings us to the women we are today. So use it always as like a glass half full opportunity, like always lessons learnt in the losses or the low times.
Yes. Yeah. And I want to just double chime second what you said is just because we're trying to be a light, to allow our light shine, and the things that we've learned and we went through does not mean that we're not still going through. And I think that's important because I feel like there's a lot of people that have a ton to give, even listening to this or watching this, and they're waiting for their life to be perfectly packaged in order to feel like they can help the next person. And I really do feel like too, and I can relate to this, there's times if you let the enemy, he will make you feel like you can't speak up about anything because if you mess up, guess what? They're going to judge you, right?
Right.
Well, let me tell you right now, just everybody brace yourself because I'm going to mess up, right? And you can go ahead and judge me all you want, but I'm covered. I'm covered by Jesus, the work he's done. And I'm not going to stop allowing him to use me because I'm not perfect. He's my perfection and he's your perfection and he's everybody else's perfection. And so it's just knowing the truth, standing in the truth. And when you fail to live by the truth, still saying it's true, I messed up, but it's still true. And we're going to move forward from here.
Right. And you know what?
The power is.
If you're doing good or bad, everyone going to judge you anyway. So just let them do that. That's a reflection on them than it is on you.
It is.
A reflection on them. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I love you so much, Cayla. Oh my gosh, you're such good people. You're my sister for life, and I'm so thankful. And for anybody who doesn't know, Cayla is all the way in Australia, and my camera went out, but I'm pretty sure they can all hear my voice.
Rolling with the punches.
That was my ode to Black Lives Matters. When scream Black Lives Matter. Hey. And of course, every life matters for anybody who's a little hung up on that, but Black Lives Matter too, right?
Right.
So I do want to talk really fast before I leave because I love your brand, Remy and Coco. And I actually love the backstory to it. So if you want to tell the backstory, you can, but either way, tell people about your brand a little bit, where they can find it. And then I want to purchase some merch and I'm going to do some giveaways for this person who's listening. Yeah.
Okay, girl. Thank you for the plug. I started Remy and Coco about 3 years ago as a little side hustle. Obviously, I'm still hooping. So Remy, I always get asked about the name. So I was reading a book one time and this lady had been taken up to heaven a few times and in spirit. And she went to a room and this big angel called Rami was in the room looking after all the miscarried babies.
Oh, my gosh.
RAHMEE was how it was spelt. And so I was like, that is a beautiful name and a beautiful just background story. So I decided to call my brand Remy, but spelled REHMEE so that it kind of looks like how it sounds. So I didn't have to always explain that every time I, said my business name. And then Coco is my eldest fur child. So Remy and Coco kind of just rolled off the tongue and made sense, even though sometimes people think my other dog's name is Remy, but it's Caesar, but it's the angel in heaven that looks after the miscarried.
Poor Caesar. Poor Caesar just got left all out of the family business.
He wasn't even around yet. Oh, no, he was. Oh, yeah. Anyways. Remy and Coco, I do some scripture apparel. I used to have fanny packs that they've sold out, getting some more in. We do hats, bandanas.
And I'm always rocking my fanny pack. Matter of fact, I need a new one because the stitches are about to come out.
Oh, really? Yeah, I've got some new stuff coming. So different designs on the fannies. Fanny packs. And then I have a whole new range coming out in like maybe a few weeks, which is a bit different to what I've already done. It's really fresh. It's really colourful. So just really vibrant and just meaningful. So, remyandcoco.com.au. I have an online store. So just go nuts.
Go nuts. Yes,
ship
absolutely.
I'm going on.
No, besides, honestly, what it represents, I love the backstory and the name of the business. Obviously, I love you. I think you're great people and you are really doing things for God's kingdom to light up the world and to really sow into the next generation. And so if you are watching this, if you're listening to this on the podcast, whichever medium you're using, go ahead and check out my website because I'm doing a giveaway. Make sure you tune in because I want to make sure to give some away this awesome merch. Of course, if you don't win, don't worry because she has more and you can buy it directly from her website, as she said.
Thank you.
Yes. All right. Well, Cayla, thank you so much for joining me. This is the end of this particular podcast episode, but we have another one. And just to give everybody a little bit of a teaser, a taste, I thought it was perfect. We were talking about the father wound. And we know a lot of people go through that, you know, and even people in their adulthood, honestly, are still struggling with their father or an absent father. And so it's a hot topic. And I know a lot of people can relate. And so Cayla and I are going to be back. We're going to be talking about that in later episodes. Make sure that you stay tuned in because we are going to keep it all the way real.
Yes,
that's the only way we know how to do it. That's the only way we know how to do it, right? You only get free when you're real. When you're really willing to be real, you can get free and you can make a difference. So,
yeah, I don't know how people do it without that freedom and, you know, joy that the Lord gives. I don't know how people get through anything without Him, to be honest.
No. I mean, because life is hard even when you have Him, right?
I know, right?
Without Him, it's like,
without Him, I can't even. It's a lot.
So how do you say bye in your Australian, you know, Australian type of vibes?
See you later.
Wait, okay. I'm going to try because I don't want to offend anybody from Australia.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. See you later. Cut.
Bye.
That's a wrap. It's over. Love you. Man. I can't even I'm too busy. I'm like too busy looking at you because you got me cracking up. I'm not looking here. I'm not looking here.
You're fine.
All right. Obviously, if you like Cayla, make sure you follow her. You stay connected with her and all of that good jam. You know where to find me. And make sure you tune in as always. Subscribe. Listen. We're here for you. Word boost. Hey, little sister.
Hey, little sister.
Oh, you trying to change the theme song. Oh, my gosh. You crack me up.